So when I look back over the history of emerald guitars, I think a lot of our stories have been shaped by the materials that we've been using and the freedom that it has given to do things a little bit differently. You know, like the wonderfully sculpted guitars like the dragons and things like that you know, allowed me to build shapes that you just couldn't build from wood. Or the multi-neck guitars that we do, like the Chimera or the Synergies. And those instruments with so many strings and so much tension that carbon just does it so much better. But one of the things, the themes that have gone right the way through my business has been travel and guitars, and sometimes amalgamated together through travel guitars. And I've always been fascinated by travel. My journey as a guitar maker and within this carbon world started off traveling to St. Louis way back in the 90s. But I've just loved the idea of traveling around the world, and you know, indeed, since I started making guitars, I've always taken every opportunity to be able to see the world through our instruments. But I think further from that, I think the guitars have just given a lot of freedom to a lot of people around the world. And it's been a beautiful thing seeing how our guitars have been able to travel. So carbon fiber is a great material, and it's not affected by temperature and humidity. So if you've been playing guitar, or you've traveled with guitars, with regular wooden guitars, you'll know how wood is so affected by climate and humidity especially. So as you travel from one climate to the other, or from a very dry area to a wet area, the structure of the guitar can move quite a bit, the neck can move. And indeed, the tonal properties of an acoustic guitar can change quite differently from a dry climate to a wet climate and vice versa. So there's a lot there that concerns people about traveling with their guitars. So a lot of people have their favorite guitars that they keep at home, and then they have their travel guitars or their road guitars that they use whenever they're off on tour, and they'll be maybe a little bit less concerned about them. But one of the things that I found with carbon guitars is people just find this extra freedom, this ability to be able to take their favorite guitar and travel around the world with it. And it's led to some really great adventures over the years, you know, and it's been fantastic for me to see people doing really unusual and incredible things with guitars. And for me personally, traveling with my guitar, you know, and I think in the early days, pretty much everywhere I went, I had a guitar with me. I was going to meet somebody in America and show them a guitar, going to a trade show. Everywhere I went, I always had a guitar. But the one guitar that I made that I actually started to call my own, because I've had guitars around me, but I never really had a guitar that I called my own. But this little red travel guitar, this little X5 that I have here, this is the guitar that probably for the last 20 years I've called my own. And we designed the X5 as being a travel guitar specifically. It was a small compact body, and for a number of years this guitar was the guitar I took with me everywhere. I took it to Thailand. I can remember riding on an elephant back in Thailand with this guitar. I can remember swimming down through waterfalls in Thailand with this guitar with me. I remember using it as a paddle in the floating market outside Bangkok, and so many great memories. And in fact, one of the greatest memories I have of this guitar is probably sitting on the Great Wall of China. We went after being at a Lee Hom concert where we were there with the Dragon guitar. We went and we visited the Great Wall of China with the musicians and dancers from his band, and just being such a small, compact little guitar, I had it on my back. We carried it with us up onto the top of the Great Wall, and then we had this great jam session up at the top. But it's so bringing music with you just gives you this great freedom. You know, it brings things alive, and I've loved seeing other people. I've kind of lived my life through seeing other people doing incredible things with their guitars, like Jason Phelps, who took one of our guitars strapped to his back and hiked the Pacific Crest Trail all the way from Mexico to Canada, and apparently somebody else took his same guitar and did it the whole way back again. So I think that guitar has done 2 routes on the Pacific Crest Trail. I can remember Paul Cheese. I think that's one of the greatest examples of somebody taking an adventure with a guitar. Paul Cheese went and cycled all over Europe, and so many different locations with guitars. And what he did was he took a guitar, he took his recording studio, and he cycled for thousands of miles finding interesting places to record. And along the way he would send me these little videos of him playing inside phone boxes, or playing inside tunnels, or on top of a mountain, and so many cool places that the guitar just allowed him this freedom to be able to play. And indeed, one time he even came and he cycled past our factory here on a Sunday afternoon on part of his trip cycling around Ireland. He came cycling up the road and came and visited the home of his guitar that he had taken in so many thousands of miles. But guitars and travel, I think, are something that go hand in hand. You know, music is something that spreads around the world, and for us, the ability to make a guitar and make it have that freedom that you're not scared about it, that it's not fragile. You keep your favorite guitar sitting beside your chair instead of locked away in a case. You take your favorite guitar off on tour and travel around the world with you whenever you go off on your next adventure. So yeah, when I look back on the travel guitars, when I look back at our experiences over the last 25 years, the travel guitars and guitars for travel has been a really important part of it. So carbon guitar gives you freedom. It gives you a great opportunity to have an adventure, and I've loved seeing all the adventures that our guitars have gone on over the years.